Om Namah Shivaya. Hello. Good morning. Let's wait for Mary to get on the video. We're it this morning. So, as it turns out, um, a few people who had been signed up couldn't come, and it really wasn't a big enrollment, which, hey, Mary, um, which kind of makes me happy because we can just, go deep. What I'm going to suggest we do during the discussion part is we'll just all unmute and, everybody can just talk as you feel like it, as you have something to say or something to ask. So, welcome to, what am I calling this now? Breathing your sadhana. Right. So the emphasis this morning is to really pay attention to our breath. And I want to teach you some pranayams. Some you may already know, some you may not, and show you how the breath enhances meditation. We will also do, I hope, more than one practice of the Om meditation so we can experience it together and discuss it and experience it again. So I'm hoping we have time to do that. So I think you all saw the email I sent yesterday with some new offerings. And Michelle and Jana, I'm hoping you'll come to this again when we do it in person. You can't do enough of these kinds of practices, and it'll be a little different. It'll be a lot the same, but when it comes to our sadhana, repetition is key. So, anyway, saying that to begin with, let us start with a pranayam, one that you all know intimately, the Kali Ki Reiki four-part breath. If you had a chance to look at the handouts I sent you, you'll see how the instructions for the breath have evolved. Um, Initially, it was just breathe in and down to the root, exhale to the core of the earth, through all the layers of the earth, inhale back up to the crown of the head. So you started at the ajna and you breathe to the root, and then you inhaled back up to Sarswara, and then from there, um, you did the exhalation and cascaded it around your aura. Well, since then, um, there was one handout I could not find that I gave at a certain point, which included the holding of breath and doing certain things like what's called the root lock. And I'm going to give us the option to practice with that today, but I couldn't find the handout for it for whatever reason. Um, and so it's evolved as, this happens all the time with Kali Ki Reiki. Things just do tend to evolve. It's like it's shown to me in one way, and then we move further, and it's like suddenly I see it in another way. And I think, this always reflects on the evolution of myself, of the Kula, etc. So that now I primarily teach it where we start at Akasha and we go down to Prithvi. So we're already starting at the top of our aura and ending at the bottom of our aura until we go down into the earth. And then we come back up and we come back up to Akasha. And then that final cascade really surrounds our aura in 360. So, Glynis, we can discuss your question. Can you start it at Ajna? Sure, you can start it at Ajna. That's the third eye chakra. Um, and you can do it the original way, if you like, from Ajna to Muladhara and from Muladhara down to the core of the earth. What we're going to do today is a little different because I'm going to really focus on Ujjayi breath and the holding, what's called the kumbhaka, the pause of of the breath. So, does anyone still have difficulty with Ujjayi breath? I know you've had trouble with it, Janet. You feeling good about it now? Okay. And you all know what I'm talking about, the ocean sounding breath. Okay, so when you do the four-part breath, make the sound. Okay, be in the sound because when we move into the Om meditation, I'm really going to be encouraging you to do the Ujjayi breathing as part of it, as well as the Om mantra. Okay, now I'm going to invite us into doing some additions, even as we're doing it just now as our opening. Okay, you're going to start with that golden sun way, way above your crown. You're going to feel the ray coming down. It comes to Akasha, and you really pause. You hold. You don't breathe. You wait until you feel it at Akasha. And then you inhale down the golden soul line to Prithvi and you pause. So even though I'm saying you could just go from Ajna to Muladhara, I want us to do this together this way today, please, or right now. Yeah, go ahead, Glynis. Just unmute.
Can I just ask you, there's some confusion where Prithvi is because in the book it shows it under the feet, but it's under the root chakra,
Um,
is it?
yeah, it's actually under the root chakra. However, okay, so like if you're lying down, right, and you're trying to imagine Prithvi, it's not like you imagine it down in the earth because that would be like you're laying like this and then you'd be breathing like an angle down here. You just extend it out a bit. Think of the energy of the chakra being kind of 360 as well. And then in the book, um, it's a standing figure, correct?
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. But okay, what's really nice is when you're seated cross-legged, which I'm going to do right now, um, then you can actually imagine Prithvi in the earth. Now that's from where I'm sitting, that's more than 6 or 8 or 12 inches. But you can still imagine it extending into the earth. So it's like a root into the earth. Prithvi means root. So ideally, the ideal posture would be sitting cross-legged on the floor. Well, actually, the ideal would be sitting cross-legged on the ground, right? And then your Prithvi is extending into the earth. But we can work with these things and use our imagination in that way. And even when I say that it's like 6 to 8 or 6 to 12 inches above, sometimes our aura is bigger, sometimes it's smaller. There is our huge energy body, which is much bigger than any of that, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on our personal subtle body area and aura. Does that make sense?
Yes, that clears up some confusion. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm glad you noticed that and thought about it. Um, and sometimes, again, the way I showed things in the book is not necessarily what we're doing now, right? The book was written in 2022. I think it was published in 23 or something. I don't know. But you know, that things change and they do evolve. And then, of course, those of you who've taken Shuta's classes, she does something different with it because it's the way that she sees it. Um, and more power to her and those teachings and those varieties. So they're variations. And so if you're working with it, Glynis, and it just feels right to do it from Ajna to the root, do it from Ajna to the root. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do from um, Akasha to Prithvi, what you're going to do when you get down to Prithvi, okay, we hold the breath, but you're going to engage what is called the root lock. Now, how do you do that? It's a it's like the Kegel exercises. It's a contracting of the perineal and really the anal muscles. So we're going to try that. You're going to hold that. So you've breathed down below your root, but you are contracting your root and you're holding it as long as you're holding the breath. Then, when you feel this prompt from inside the earth and you wait, the longer you hold, the better, the longer, actually, in yoga, it teaches the longer you hold the breath, the longer you live. It actually increases your longevity. But you just want to hold as long as you possibly can and remain comfortable. Okay. And so that's holding an inhalation. Then we exhale down to the earth, and you're doing the Ujjayi breath this entire time. You let go of that lock, the root lock, and you just exhale through your nose, making the Ujjayi sound through the layers of earth to the very core of the earth. And there you attempt to hold the breath out. Okay, that's called the Rechika. The exhalation is called the Rechika, and then it's another Kumbhaka, another holding. Now, you may not be able to do it for very long, and I don't want anyone suffering. Okay, and so then when you get the prompt, you inhale back up to Akasha, and again, you hold the breath. And then when you exhale, it comes all the way around. And all of this is done with the Ujjayi breath. Okay, so it's not that different, but it's a little different. There's another lock that you can apply. And I'm going to give you that possibility right now. So you do that first inhalation where you're lighting up the chakras and you engage the muscles around the anus and the perineum. And then you kind of tilt your chin in, and that is the throat lock. So you've got two locks going. And you hold and you hold, and then when you need to exhale, you raise your chin, release your butt, and exhale down. Okay, is that clear? Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to do the four-part breath, and I'll give you the cues as best I can, but it's like a lot of things are happening simultaneously. So it's not easy. But just remember, as best you can, you continue to do the Ujjayi breath throughout. If you can't do the locks, don't don't worry about it. Okay, let's begin by making sure you're sitting up nice and straight. The spine is erect. You feel the sits bones grounded in. I need to lean a little forward and not just lean into my chair to be perfectly erect. And then notice how your chin is positioned. You don't want it jutted out, and nor do you want it pointed up or down. Jutting out is more what we tend to do because we spend so much time in screens and looking forward into our lives. Okay, and then begin to imagine that golden sphere above. And as a ray comes down to Akasha, you just pause before you even begin. And then you inhale that ray down from Akasha all the way to Prithvi. Here, you engage both of those locks if you can. When you can hold the breath in no longer and you feel Earth's pull, you release the chin lock, you release the root lock, and you exhale down from Prithvi to the core of the earth. Here, with the breath held out, it's as if everything is really released into the earth, almost like it got pumped in there. And she does her purifying, alchemizing work. When that's complete and you've held the breath out, well, out, then she exhales and you inhale back up through the whole shebang, no locks, up to Akasha. You pause again. Now here, if you'd like, you can engage the root lock again, not the chin lock. And then as you need to, and as you feel that grace descending from above, once again, you exhale and wash the aura clean from Akasha to Prithvi. Let's do that one more time, and then I want to check in and see what that's like for you. So again, the golden ray from above touches at Akasha. You pause, and then you inhale that ray with Ujjayi breath down to Prithvi. Lock the chin, lock the bottom, the root. Pause. And when you need to exhale, down that same line to the core of the earth, having released both locks, taking everything that needs to be flushed out with you. Let it be cleansed and purified. As she exhales, you inhale back up to Akasha. You can now engage the root lock as you wait. And when you feel grace touching down once again, you release the lock and wash the aura clean. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti. Okay, how was that? Go ahead, just unmute. This isn't, you don't have to raise a hand. You feel like you got it?
My breathing feels a little bit challenged, regardless, just because of congestion.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I'm just following through and with the visualization and doing my best, but my breathing is feeling a little bit shallow.
Yeah, I'm hearing some of that. Do you have a Kleenex nearby?
I'm gonna go get one.
Yeah. Go ahead and give yourself a big honk, Jana.
Right. I wasn't quite sure about the chin lock.
Yes.
The chin lock. I wasn't quite sure what I should be doing for that.
Okay, so if you just kind of tilt your head a little bit like this, it kind of locks.
Oh, okay.
The breath
Yeah.
kind of locks in.
Yeah, I
So
can
when
feel
you've
them.
got the chin lock and the root lock engaged, the prana, the energy stays in that torso area. hmm So just give that a try. Just take a couple of normal breaths and then engage the root lock and then the chin lock. And just notice what happens to the energy, the love force within. Ideally holding the breath. What does that feel like, Linus?
It feels more intensified between those 2 points.
hmm Yeah. And so that's kind of what it does. It temporarily, I mean, you could say traps the energy, and that allows the energy to really clear out the area of the main area of the chakras. We're always about cleansing and purifying so that we become a freer channel. How's that, Jana? Any better?
A little bit, but I definitely
Yeah. Some of this there's going to be, you're going to have to just modify.
right.
Um, and, if you ever do nasal spray or something like that, that would be helpful before doing some of these pranayams. Um,
Morning, I did the saline, the whole
uh-huh.
thing. Yeah, the neti pot,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've done it. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But it does sound like you're pretty congested. So, you just might have to skip some of this, but
I'm here. I'm here. I'm with you.
you are here. And I would very much like you to feel the benefit of this, but you may not be able to today. Um, and and that's okay. Yeah. Mary, Michelle.
I think because I've had breathing problems in the past, I've had trouble with asthma and stuff. Sometimes when I hold my breath, I feel a little bit of panic, like,
Yeah,
uh-oh.
you get scared.
But I find if I relax into it, like I don't think of it as holding my breath as much as just pausing and waiting, it
Good,
feels much better. It's like,
good.
don't think about it as holding my breath, think about it as a wait, just a place where I'm just here for the moment, right? And then let go, it works better.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful and important. And to remember you're controlling this. It's not controlling you. You're choosing to do this, to pause the breath. And I feel like really that's much better language anyway, is to pause the breath. But I'm here to tell you there are some really amazing experiences one can have when the breath pauses. And I'll tell you why. When we are no longer on this planet and no longer attached to these physical bodies, we will continue to exist. There will be a kind of breath, but it will have nothing to do with a body. There is a universal pulsation of which we will be a part. And occasionally, I find when I hold my breath, when I pause my breath, when I'm in kumbhaka, right, I join into that universe of being, into the limitless love. And in some ways, I would say it's like death, but it's not physical death. But there is no longer an I or a body. And it can be a pretty amazing experience. And it's the kind of thing that can really help you to understand what true yogic samadhi is. And the benefits, obviously, of lengthening our breath, first of all, taking more time with the inhalation and the exhalation, and learning to manage the pauses. It really does have physiological benefits. There's many books written about the physiology of pranayama. And of course, in yoga, it's understood that it does increase our longevity and, our health, right? That's part of what increases our longevity, but simply our longevity. Of course, no one wants to live to be forever and be sick. We want to be healthy and have longevity. Yeah. Mary?
I just wanted to verify about the chin and root locks. You engage the locks at the end of the inhalation or
At the end of the inhalation.
okay.
Okay. The end of the first inhalation down to Prithvi, you lock the root and the chin. Then you open the locks and you exhale down to the earth. Then you inhale back up to Akasha, and here you can lock only the root. Because at this point, we want the energy going all the way up to Akasha. We don't want to hold it between the root and the chin.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's do it one more time. Everybody at their own pace without my instruction. Okay. And those of you who have difficulty with breathing, be kind to yourself. Okay. Just do it one more time. And then when you're ready, gently open your eyes so that I know that you are complete.
Can I ask you one more question?
Okay, sure.
Let's say you're like maybe Jana would be able to breathe easier if she did, third eye to root breathing instead of to Prithvi. But in that case, what was I going to ask?
What, are you saying in that case, would she not use the locks?
Or
It doesn't change how you use the locks, so it's absolutely fine. If you would rather breathe from third eye to root, you can do that. That's absolutely fine. When you do that final exhalation, though, you go all the way up, please, to Akasha, because then you wash everything. So what I'm giving you are just options
Okay. I
to,
think I said something else, but it's gone. I
so
don't know what happened.
if it comes up, let me know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So these locks are not necessary, but if you work with them, I think you'll find them pretty amazing. I've occasionally had people who have do have negative reactions to the locks, and if that's the case, you can let it go. But the locks are important in yoga. So anyway, okay, let's go ahead and close our eyes and just begin to visualize that golden orb, and then begin the 4-part breath. When you complete your breath, let the eyes open. Go ahead.
Um, so when you're inhaling from the earth up to Akasha, you could actually, well, what I do is when I'm inhaling, I'm looking up with my eyes closed. So that's another kind of
Yeah, no, that's a
third
would be.
eye.
hmm hmm
Um, and I think the locks are actually more helpful to encourage you to do the pause. So I like adding those in. I think that's helpful. But I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that you could do that.
No, that's very
Focus on the third eye as you're inhaling up by looking up with your eyes closed. That's what I but
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you were doing the Ujjayi breath?
yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Hey, Michelle, is there any way for you to turn your camera so we can see you better? You've got light behind you, and so you're all shadowed.
Oh, really? Okay. Hold on one second. I'm gonna try something and see if it
Oh,
works.
when you moved closer, it was better. Okay. Um, so, start on Monday mornings, I'm working with the chants. And so today we're not really, that's a little better. Oh, I see what you're doing.
I'm closing the blinds, so let's see if that works.
Sorry, you have to shut out the light. Yesterday it was so light here, I felt like I needed shades inside. Great
Yeah, I
after
can't,
all.
for some reason, I can't get my picture to come up. Does anyone know how to do that? So I can't see how.
Oh, you can't see yourself?
No, and I keep playing with it, and I can't get it to come up.
Did you go to the video?
Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Okay, is that better? That looks better to me. Now I figured
Better
out
than
how
it
to
was
close
when
something.
the
Okay,
blind was up, for sure.
okay.
Yeah, you might want to consider getting an O-ring, but
Yeah, I'm at Brian's house, so I don't,
yeah,
yeah. I
but
don't
it's
have,
much better.
okay,
Thank.
good, good.
Okay. Okay. So what was I saying? Oh, so on Mondays I'm working on the chants. Here we're going to be working on breath. For any of you who are interested in taking the Nadi and Chakra classes, that I'll be starting probably in April, you're going to be doing a lot of breath work, just so you know. So it's good to prepare. Now, why do we do these practices? It's cleansing, it's purifying, and the breath does put you in touch with the universal. Okay. So the four-part breath is part of our Om Ma meditation. So when we do the Om Ma meditation, I'm going to invite you to incorporate that into it. But now I want to have a little discussion. Why meditate? And I really don't want you to give me the pat answers. It's like, for you, why meditate? Why not make a bowl of popcorn and watch TV?
So
Well, okay.
I'll start.
Yeah, thank you.
So there is so much in the intangible and the mysteries. It allows space for me to empty the bowl, drop the mishigas, and make room for the mysterious, amazing, unknown, and the beyond what I know and can sense, and the uh, infinite potential, and the just
Mm.
beyond space and time. Just the other is sort of how I perceive it. It's like I'm not so arrogant that I know that I know that I know, and it's all that I don't uh, know, or the unknowable, the undefinable,
Mm.
in
Yeah,
relationship with the undefinable.
I love it. A relationship with the undefinable and the mystery and opening yourself up to it. Beautiful. Thank you, Jana. Mary. Okay, guys, everybody unmute yourself. I don't want anyone muted. I want this to be a free flow. I mean, we'll take turns, but yeah.
Okay, well, in the simplest form, it's just letting go, trying to let go of the monkey mind and let your thoughts just float away, letting them go so that you can have greater clarity and awareness of things. Um, I guess that's the simplest.
Yeah, letting go of that monkey mind and having greater clarity and awareness. Yeah, beautiful.
I kind of like that you said, why not a bowl of popcorn and TV? Because there's distraction and then there's engagement, right? And sometimes I want distraction from the monkey mind, you know.
Mhm.
And when I first started meditating, it was more a way for me to calm thoughts that were running and crazy in my head. Um, Meditation now for me has evolved to something so much deeper, and I'm not quite as eloquent as Jana was, but for me, it is a connection to the divine. It's where I can go to that place that I can feel that and know that and be that, right? And um,
Yeah.
and I love that. And I've had, when you were talking about breath, I've had a couple of times where as I was meditating, it all of a sudden felt like breath wasn't even important. Like breathing wasn't important. Like I wasn't aware that I was doing it. I didn't care. It was like all of a sudden I was just in some space where that didn't matter. And I've only gotten there a couple times, but it was pretty wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's almost like I find sometimes I have no idea how long it's been since I've actually had taken a breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 beautiful. It's a way to connect in with the divine. What we were talking about last week, the true truth, which when we come out of it and try to define it, we get into all sorts of trouble. But Linus.
Yeah, for me, it offers a unique type of stillness. And as was said, a connection with the universe, a connection with the source, whatever you wish to call it. And I feel that it helps deepen the healing process, just being still.
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful. And I want to emphasize something else that Michelle said. Like at first, you did it just to kind of calm the mind, right? And so many people start meditating with the idea of calming the mind, feeling more peace, feeling better. And then maybe, you know, you move into that kind of like, oh, this connects me with the mystery, the divine, the wholeness, that which I truly am. Um, and it's like, oh, okay, this is really why I'm doing it. I might not have known why I started learning it. Now, um, meditation, people try meditation all the time, right? Because they hear everybody saying it'll give you a stillness, it'll help you feel calm, at peace, it'll relax you. And what happens? They close their eyes and their monkey mind gets louder. And the monkeys seem to like descend lower from the canopy of the trees above. And this is what we want to get beyond. Um, and one of my expressions is that meditation is what happens when we're busy having other thoughts. And what do I mean by that? A little paraphrase of John Lennon. Um, that we can be in a meditative state even while there are thoughts going on. Just like you were talking about um, you can be in a meditative state and not even have awareness that you're breathing. You can actually start with a pranayam and lose all sense of anything, um, and then come back to the breath at a certain point. So I want to say that there are different stages of our meditation practice, and we probably all go through these different stages in any one given practice. Maybe we don't go through them all. Some practices, right, we're going to get beyond thinking and just be in pure being. In other practices, we're still witnessing, we're observing thoughts passing through. Okay. And the thoughts are passing through, but we're in a meditative state. The body is actually calmer. The breath has slowed down, which is a sign of going into the meditative state when you're just breathing naturally, not when you're doing pranayama. The breath has slowed down. Thoughts seem to slow down as well. Um, and and yet there still may be thoughts, or maybe those thoughts are just the witnessing thoughts, we call them, where you're still aware that you're observing the state that you're in. Now eventually we go into what's called the nirguna state, which is where we're just in the state and there's no me observing it anymore, and I only know that I've been in that state by coming out of it. As I come back out of it, then I remember or can somewhat witness again that, oh, that was a state of fullness or emptiness, however you want to define it. And do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Um, so all of these states are natural to the meditation process. Of course, we want more and more to go into those deeper samadhi states where there is no ego. There's no ego and there's also no God. There's no other. Interestingly, Jana, you talked about it as the other state, but when we're truly in it, there is no other. There's only this, if you will. And sometimes there's an observing of this, and other times there's only this with no observing of it, no classifying it, no naming it, pure awareness. Um, but I think what you're talking about is it's a movement from an external orientation to an internal orientation. I was listening to Science Friday on NPR yesterday. I love listening to Science Friday. That's our public radio station, Glynis. And the interviewer was asking this scientist, so how would you define science? What is science, at the core? And she replied, she said, well, it is finding instruments or ways to know the world around us. And she kind of emphasized that know the world around us many times, so that we can intervene and make things better and what have you. And I thought, huh, you know, this is the aim of most people to know better, to be able to control better, to be able to interact better with the world around us. And in yoga, of course, this is considered the world of our senses. It's the relative world. And and in yoga, of course, we're trying to explore the world within us. My guru often refers to the science of yoga, and sometimes I smirk a little bit like, yeah, right, this is not what a lot of people in the West would call science, but it is because science actually just means to study. It's the study of of our inner world. And actually, even this woman's definition of science, I thought it's incomplete, right? Because psychology is a science, and psychology is, to a certain degree, much about our inner workings. Um, Not, of course, in the same way that yoga is, and Buddhist and Hindu psychology is. But just to remember that most of us spend most of our time interacting with and trying to navigate the world around us. And so meditation can be a big relief from that, actually. All our interactions, and I love the word that you use, mishigas. Janet, would you define it? Can you I love the word and I use it, but how would you define it?
Almost like stuff, the stuff around us, the stories,
Yeah.
um, so I think that there's an implication so stories like the overlays, um, uh, right, there's almost like the person, and then there's like the mishigas, like the extra layer of maybe it's also connected to ego. I think on some funny level, or arrogance, or intangible, but so stories and extra stuff, like the layers. That's how I use it and feel like it.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah,
Yiddish.
that makes sense. And really, that is the external stuff
Right.
and the interactions and the relationships and all of that. And it's our attachments. So I want you to think about that, from the yogic perspective, that we're very attached to everything around us and those around us and people around us. And And that's what keeps us focused outward instead of inward. And now I want you to think about the breath. We breathe out and we breathe in. How many of you know the breathing with the beloved breath that we do? Well, you do definitely,
I've
Michelle.
done it. I think
Okay.
I've done it before, but
Yeah. So this is the breath where we visualize first a person and then the divine sitting across from us, and we breathe together. But I want you to think about the exhalation and the inhalation. The exhalation, the rechika, it actually means to release outward. And the inhalation, coming back in. So if you take a moment now and just breathe in and out through your nostrils. On the exhalation, silently say to yourself, out. And on the inhalation, say to yourself, in. What you might notice as you breathe in, you're breathing out from your nostrils, right? But as you breathe in, you're breathing into some place much deeper than your nostrils. And now I'd like you to imagine breathing out to a point about 12 inches in front of you. This is called the Dwadashanta. It's actually a little less than 12 inches, maybe 8. And when you breathe back in, feel the trajectory of the breath coming back in as coming into your heart center. And when you pause after the inhalation, imagine the prana rising up from your heart center to your nostrils. And then exhale back out to that Dwadashanta. Pause until you need to inhale again and inhale into the heart center. The energy rises up and you exhale through the nostrils. And do this on your own several times. And after the next exhalation, just come back into your natural breath and gently let your eyes open. What was that like?
So the chemistry of inhalation and exhalation are completely different. So when we think about transformation, what we breathe in is not what we breathe out. It's so when we talk about breath, breath is almost an inadequate word that describes the process of transformation between the in-breath and the exhale. I never thought about such a complete chemistry shift between inhale and exhale.
Yeah, I mean, it is totally true, right? When we exhale, we're releasing out the carbon monoxide, and when we breathe in, we're breathing in the carbon dioxide.
Or the oxygen, the
And the
oxygen.
oxygen. Yeah, the oxygen. And I had such a visceral experience of this many years ago. I took my then 6-year-old son to Mexico City, which at the time was the most polluted city in the world. They've cleaned it up a lot since. And we were staying in a monastery, actually, there, a Catholic, well, nunnery, and with a friend. And we're in the heart of Mexico City, and anytime we were out, you could barely breathe. The asthma was on the rise there. People were very sick. We had to, we didn't have masks. We just wore scarves around our bandanas around our faces. And of course, my little 6-year-old was very susceptible to all this, being so young. And the what do you call it? It's not a monastery when it's for women, I forget. But anyway,
No, nunnery.
yeah,
Is
there's another word. But yeah,
Convent? Are you thinking of convent?
convent, thank you. Yeah. So there's an adobe wall surrounding the convent, and you come in and there's a little garden with many trees. And the moment we would come in from the street into the garden that was walled in, we could take off our masks and we could breathe better. We literally, it's like we could taste the oxygen being released from the trees. And it was such a firsthand experience, of ecosystems, for one, and how trees, you always know that trees give off oxygen, but it was like, oh, yeah. And then the minute we'd go out in the street, we'd have to cover our faces again. So yes, the chemistry is extremely important, but also the attention. So the attention goes out. There's this whole world, and it's this big visual and audio field, right? And then the attention comes in. And what's there? Quiet. When we bring our attention in, we still see with our inner eyes, and we can imagine where the breath is going. But um, um, what are we seeing? We don't see anything. We don't see our organs, you know. It's just kind of like sky, dark sky, if you will, and usually very, very calming and peaceful. So I'd like us to do the breathing with the beloved. It's a very important breath to the wisdom school. It's one of those things, like chanting and stuff, I kind of let go teaching over the years, but um, it's pretty wonderful.
Can I just say one thing before we do it? I'm a heart math trainer, and the Heart Math Institute is studying all this stuff.
Yeah.
The only reason I like the science is because I feel like with science behind some of this, it will become validated. And at least for me in my profession, that's important to me. But they hooked people up to monitors, and just by doing, they called it heart focused breathing, but it was exactly what you just had us do. You can change your heart rate, and you can change what they called it coherence, the coherence of the heart rate, because you're doing this relaxing it, like, and then your body releases all these chemicals that are like calming happiness chemicals. But the most interesting part was they had 4 people in a room doing this, and when they showed coherence, they brought a 5th person into the room, and without doing the heart focused breathing, that 5th person would come into coherence just because the energy in the room was that way, right? From the 4 people doing it. So I just can't, it is for real. I mean, I just now when you had me do that, I'm like, oh my God, this is heart math breathing. They call it heart focused breathing, but it's just amazing how much that can affect your whole being and the people around you.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm aware of what they do. And um and remember, this is yoga. It's been around for thousands of years, you know, and yeah, it's pretty great. Okay, let's
I was
do,
just wondering as well how
huh?
that, I was just wondering as well, regarding what Michelle was saying, how that aspect of entrainment works distantly. Like, we're all doing this at distance, whether our hearts are also in training as we breathe.
I'm sure we are. For example, what she was describing is someone walks into the room, they're not touching. They're in the room, yeah, but we're in a room together. And absolutely, I believe that that's happening. And I'm not sure, if that kind of thing is measured, Michelle.
They're actually measuring something they call global coherence, where they're measuring the energy in certain communities and cities around the world now, and looking at the difference. Um, is it different in a little village in Tibet than it is in a big city like Chicago? And so, yeah, they are measuring how it can be. And that comes up in the telepathy tapes too, right? About distance,
Yeah.
healing and distance energy.
I'd
So
like to
yes,
add,
I definitely think this little group right here, we're sending energy and that, what do I call it? That limitless love to each other.
so I just want to add one more thing in terms of what Heart Math did in schools. They brought four teachers together to create that coherency without talking to anybody else, and they brought down the level of violence and the police activity and the everything just by the four teachers creating coherence within a campus where nobody else knew what was going on, but it was, and it's been uh, what's it called, verified and proven in different instances about the consistency of when a group of people, like even as small as what we have here, makes impact with people that have no idea that it's going on. And that's a beautiful thing. And I love the way that that's worked in terms of violence. They did that in Washington, D.C. as well, and cooled the jets, of violence and occurrences and things like that. So without other people even knowing what they're walking into or in the field of.
They just feel it. Yeah.
So this same thing was done in the 1970s by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and his institute. And what they would do is they brought a group of however many people they felt were necessary, like 75 people into a city and had them meditating, and crime rates went down and all kinds of things. Even the studies are not new, you guys. Everything in the telepathy tapes has been studied before. The improvements I see is, I think finally it's getting better funded. And maybe because it's not being done by yogis or something, I don't know, it's more respected. But these are things that have been known for so long. And, whatever is going to create the tipping point to um, get us practicing like this is essential. There's so many different like global Reiki healing circles and things like that. And it all makes a difference. But let's focus on us, okay? Because my goal is, yes, for us to make a difference as a kula, but only secondary to each one of you coming into your own complete and total coherence. Okay? So just let your eyes close. Make sure you're in a comfortable meditative position. And then I'd like you to think of someone, this can be someone alive or dead, that you feel pretty much unconditional love for, not someone that you have issues with. It doesn't actually even have to be somebody you know that well. This could be a teacher you had back in grade school. Could be a spiritual teacher. It could be a family member, an ancestor. And imagine that they're sitting across from you, as if you're seated cross-legged and they're seated also cross-legged right across from you, so that you're almost touching knee to knee. And notice that there's a point between the two of you that's about 12 inches outside your bodies. And so as you exhale out to that Dvadashanta point, this beloved being inhales. And as they exhale, right to that point, there's your prompt to inhale. Now this breath goes from heart center to heart center. So you just continue this for a while. It's almost kind of a figure eight or an infinity loop between you. You might both have your eyes open and be gazing at one another with love, or your eyes can be closed. As you exhale out to that Dvadashanta point, they inhale. There's a pause. They exhale out to that point, and you inhale. And there's a pause. Just feel this breath looping back and forth between your heart and theirs. If any emotions, feelings, thoughts, judgments, self-judgments, or judgment of the other come up, just focus on the breathing. Breathing with the beloved, back and forth, in and out, always pausing at the end of an inhalation and the end of the exhalation. You may notice that it begins to feel like one continuous breath. That there is no difference between your breath and theirs. They breathe in what you exhale, and it is purified as they exhale and you breathe in. It is purified in your heart, and then you exhale, sending that purified breath out, inhaling pure breath in. Now this breath is none other than the love force. So just feel the love force looping back and forth between you and the beloved. Very good. And now come back into your own sweet breath, allowing them to do the same. Thank them and bid them on their way. And now begin to visualize coming to sit in front of you. a divine presence, a divine being. Ma in her embodied form, Jesus, Buddha, any enlightened master, any ascended being. You may not even know this being who comes and sits in front of you, but you recognize that they are a fully awakened, fully whole, embodied, divine being. And again, you begin this looping breath back and forth, adding some ujjayi to the breath. And feeling the love force passing through each of you. No conversation, just a simple exchange of love force breath. Again, perhaps the eyes are open. If they are, as you gaze into this divine being's eyes, what you see is pure love. And the reflection in their eyes is you. You see their eyes gazing at you, just as when they look into your eyes, they see love and they see the reflection of their own form. Continue this for a short while longer, breathing with the beloved. Very good. And now complete this, offering thanks to the beloved divine and returning into your own sweet breath. One of the reasons we do pranayams, special breaths, is so that when we come into our natural breath, it is calmer, more relaxed, peaceful, quiet. Take a few more moments. When you're ready to open your eyes, do so slowly and gradually. Don't look into the screen immediately. Just gaze softly downward And then when you're ready, begin to take in the room around you, the space around you. Notice the space itself, not just the objects in the space. Even though your physical eyes cannot see behind you, can you feel the space behind you? This is tuning in to our hidden fourth trishul, having awareness of the spaciousness that contains all that is manifest. The spacious awareness, the limitless love. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break so that you can maybe sit with this a little bit and take care of your biological needs. Maybe you write something down, and then we'll come back, we'll talk about it, and then we'll do an Om meditation. So 5 minutes. Hey, Glynis. Go ahead and unmute now.
Okay.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Come back. Come back. Hey, Mary. Jana, Michelle.
I'm right here. I
Oh,
never left.
good. Oh,
And I was thinking about again our breath and how we feed the trees.
yeah. Yeah.
Talking
It's
about that
just,
interrelation. And I love the idea that as we breathe, we're feeding the trees, that they need us to breathe.
well, then we need them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Michelle. Let's go ahead though. Yeah. So, there are actually a couple breathing with the beloved guided meditations on the website. And I think in one of them anyway, I have you first bring in someone, that you have this unconditional love for, and then somebody that maybe there's some conflict with. So it can be used to do some healing work, some forgiveness work as well. But today I just wanted you to have this experience. So what was it like for you?
There was a big difference when we changed the breath in the second part. I noticed that it was far more when we used the breath with the sound, the feeling was far more expansive when we finished the breathing. It was just, well, on a different level completely. The mind seemed to be opened up and everything it felt more, I'm trying to think of the word. Uh,
Well, expansive, you said.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, 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 beautiful. Yeah, the Ujjayi breath is pretty special. Yeah, pretty great. Michelle, you've done this before, haven't you?
I have, but yeah, this was pretty wonderful experience this time. And I have to say that as soon as I was sitting in front of the divine, my well, I wasn't even again, it was that experience of it seemed like my breathing completely changed, like I didn't care about breathing. And all of a sudden it felt like I there was nothing between the divine and myself. It was just like we were like, I don't know, all meshed together. And again, I had that sense of, when I was sitting in front of my beloved person, I was aware of the breathing and focused on the breathing. And all of a sudden, when that changed, I didn't care about the breathing. I mean, I don't know, it seemed like it wasn't important.
Well, so would divine forms really breathe?
Well, that's yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, Jesus and Buddha and Krishna, they breathed, right? Because they were really in human form. But really, it's, yeah, what is that breath? It's the pulsation of life.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be a physical breath. Um, yeah, yeah. And also, I invited you to have the divine come in a form. Is the divine a form? No, it's formless, but we give
And
it many forms.
it didn't come to me in a form, at all. I can't even describe what,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, but it did not come to me in a form.
Yeah, it's just a presence. Mhm.
Hmm.
And like you said, it's a presence. It's not different from you.
No.
So the breath is not different from your breath, if you will. Yeah, beautiful. Mary?
Yeah, I agree with what Michelle was saying. I just felt after a very short time like you were breathing as one, and then I just got super relaxed and checked out.
Yeah. Okay, so now be careful. It's not just that you get super relaxed and checked out. I mean, it is possible that you fell asleep, but that's slipping into the samadhi state where there is no conscious awareness. There's pure awareness, but there's no one to be conscious of it. Um, so it's not, don't just think of it as checking out, unless that's what it was. It may be that.
No, no,
Yeah.
I didn't fall asleep. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a super relaxed state. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Well, when you come into a state of pure beingness and there's no longer any witnessing of it, it's just there.
Hmm.
That's the finest state. So, and maybe that's not exactly what it was. Maybe your witness was still there, but um yeah, yeah.
Can I ask you a question or just remind when I got to that state, of course I did not want to come out and I was aware of your voice and like kind of aware of what you were asking us to do,
Mhm.
but I didn't want to go engage in that. And do you know what I mean? I wanted to just stay where it was. Is it
Yeah,
possible to be in that state and still hear?
absolutely.
I mean, be partly in reality and partly in this beautiful state.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Kind of almost, I feel like teary after, like even describing it or thinking about it, because to me it's just this beautiful, beautiful feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, there are at least two recordings on the website of this meditation if you want to try doing it again, or you can just do it on your own. But I think that happens when you're tuning out the guidance. It's the guide you still there's still an awareness because your ears haven't stopped functioning, right? Your brain actually hasn't stopped functioning. You are not your brain. You're having a deeper experience than whatever your brain can show you. Your brain is just the filter of your senses and the processor of what comes in through the senses. Um, so that still is active, right? Because it's active as long as we're alive. So the sounds are happening and there's an awareness of sounds, but there's not a focusing and not a processing of them. And ideally, you're also not like irritated because that can happen sometimes, but then chances are you're not in that transcendent state if you're irritated by, like, I don't want to do what she's saying, I just want to have my own experience.
I didn't feel that, but I was just I was like hearing your voice.
Yeah, and you were just having your own experience.
Yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah.
But it's a different than, that's not, I don't, that's not what you're describing. So, yeah, yeah. And that's great. I mean, again, the voice is just a guidance. The guidance is just a guidance. It's a guidance to help you get to a deeper space. Once you're in a deeper space, you don't need me anymore. You know? Yeah. Okay, so now I want us to do an Om practice. I find that often people, when we do this together, there's a bit of a performance anxiety, I've noticed. Like, I got to do it right. Um, and there are certain steps to it, and I'm going to go over the steps and I'm going to invite you to follow the steps. But please remember, I don't know what you're experiencing. I don't know what you're doing when we're doing the meditation together. I'm doing my own meditation. Yes, at some deepest level, we're completely connected, but there's no grading of this. So I very much want you, as best you can, to let go of any sense of performing. Um, and doing it right. That's kind of like when we're first doing Reiki, right? There's this sense of performing. Am I doing it right? Um, are they feeling what I want them to feel? Oh, what I want them to feel, that kind of thing. Um, so I do want to say again, I think all of you have heard me tell you the story of, when I was in India and Bhagavan wanted me to start taking you guys deeper and said I should start teaching his transcendent technique. It was quite an honor because there are very few people that teach that technique. Many people have learned it, and it's really helped them a lot in their sadhana. But I said to him, I said, well, I'm happy to do that if that's what you want. But I mean, I really meant it. It was an honor. I said, but I want you to remember that a while ago, Divine Mother gave me a practice for my students. And I had told him about it when it happened, or I'd written to him about it. And I could tell that even though he wrote back and said, oh, this is beautiful, everything you do is beautiful, it was like I could tell he hadn't really. I had sent him a recording. He hadn't listened to the recording of the practice. So he didn't really know what it was. And the guru doesn't need to know the specifics anyway. So anyway, after this interaction, um, I was outside walking, listening to a recording of him, and he left the ashram altogether, and nobody knew where he went. And about an hour later, I was still walking, and he came in, and he came up to me, and he said that he had gone to a nearby temple and had connected with Divine Mother, and that she had told him directly that yes, she had given me this practice, and that is what I was supposed to be teaching my children, my children. Sorry, guys, my students. He often refers to his people as his children. Anyway, um, and and so it was really for me a very powerful um, confirmation and validation, both of the practice and the fact that I had been encouraging you guys to learn this transcendental technique, which you're welcome to learn if you want. Um, and I actually hadn't been practicing it myself. I have another technique that he gave me that I practice. But anyway, it was very validating. And, he basically said, just keep doing what you're doing. And this is one of the reasons I want to have more and more of these meditation days again, because it's like I really want us to explore the depths of this practice. So this will be a review, but it's helpful always. The Om meditation practice has 4 parts. The first part is the chanting part. I hope you're all beginning to understand the importance of chanting. And the beautiful thing about chanting is there is physical engagement and involvement in chanting. We're prior to meditating, we're using our body, our voice. Okay, we're making sound. And meditating can be very difficult for people if they just sit down with a mantra or just sit down in silence. It's like, no, we need to gradually remove ourselves from our mishigas. And so having something physical like an asana, doing an asana prior, is very, very helpful. I mean, it would be not a bad thing to add asana into this whole practice, these 4 parts to start with an asana, but we start with the chanting. And then from the chanting, we go to the pranayam, to the 4-part breath. And I just gave you some modifications for the 4-part breath, some additions that you can put into it now. Please, please just do the ujjayi breath. One more, addition you can do is as you do the inhale with the Ujjayi breath, you silently think Om. And as you do the exhale, you silently think Ma. Now, the beauty of Om Ma is Om ends with M and Ma starts with M. The is the holding, the pausing. Om Ma. Okay, so in yoga, the Om, the actual just chanting the Om as AUM, which is how it's literally spelled. Aum. It's like the M fades away into nothingness. And the Ah is the manifestation, the arising. The Oo is the beingness, and then the is it's like the exhalation, it's the sending back out. Now that's shortened by most yogis, but many still do the to Om. And when we do Om Ma Om, well, the first part of the Om is a little shorter. The Ma is longer than that. And then the final Om is longer. Oh, wait. Om. Om. Now, why am I doing it so loud? You don't have to do it that loud, and when I'm doing it by myself, I often don't. However, when I do it loud like that, it feels more like there's a new Ujjayi happening, and it's quite powerful. So now, go ahead and mute yourselves and practice doing it louder like that, using your whole body, your whole force, your whole love force, and do the O. Ma, Om. Okay, so now just do that like I just did several times on your own. I'm going to mute myself. Okay, now whenever you're completed, I hope that you do that all in one breath. I didn't say that. You inhale and then you do the whole Om Ma Om in one breath. So let's do it one more time, just one long Om Ma Om, making sure good. But I just want to make sure everybody's. I see it got you coughing, Michelle. That can happen. Have some water nearby. It helps. Yeah. And it may be that you can't do it with such force, just take care of your breath. Um, but how does that feel? I mean, you really feel it, don't you? Yeah. Okay. Now, and when you do it on your own and you do it's lovely, but there's not as much vibration. You really get the vibration going when you put some volume into it. And don't worry about making it pretty. It's fine. It's not a melody. It's not a pretty chant, if you will. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to get the subtle body and the physical body cleared out. That's what pranayama does. Okay? And chanting. I'm sorry, that's what chanting does. But you're doing like a pranayama and a chant together in this. Okay. Then, as you know, the next stage is the four-part breath. We've already practiced that. I think you've all got that down. Ideally, you do the first for 5 minutes, the second, the chanting for 5 minutes, the four-part breath for 5 minutes. But, it's not like you need to look at a clock. You just feel into it. Okay. Especially if you've done it enough, you know pretty much what your timing is. I find when I chant softly, I tend not to do it as long. Um, and that's another reason I recommend doing it louder. Now, if we were doing this together in person, nobody is expected to do it at the same rate as everyone else. Your Om Ma Om may take you 8 seconds. It might take me 10 seconds. It might take someone else 12 seconds. That's fine. I mean, I have actually no idea how many seconds. I'm just saying. So that it becomes a beautiful harmony, actually, because we're all kind of starting and stopping at different times. And Jana does this with us on Thursdays, and so does Michelle. And one of my issues is we don't do it loud enough to really feel it. So I'm going to start trying to pump us up a little bit here. Okay. Um, then four-part breath, then Om Ma, no four-part breath, but very much silently doing the Ujjayi breath and Om on the inhalation, Ma on the exhalation. It's just a mental repetition. That's our mantra. Our mantra is Om Ma. Our mantra isn't Om Ma Om. That's our chant. Our mantra is Om Ma. Now, watch the transition between the Om and the Ma, between the inhalation and the exhalation. You can put a pause there as you're doing the Ujjayi breath. And yeah, I might find that's kind of cool. So I want to practice just that part. Okay. There's no point in me doing it as a demo because online you can't hear me doing the Ujjayi breath. So Ujjayi breath, inhaling, thinking Om, pause, exhaling, thinking Ma, pause, inhale Om, pause, exhale Om, pause. Only pause for as long as is comfortable. So let's do that for a few breaths. Interestingly, I'm finding myself on when I'm holding the breath after the inhalation on the Om, I'm doing the root lock and the chin lock. and then letting them both go when I do the exhalation, the ma. You might try it. To me, it feels really good.
And for clarification, when we're doing the OMA, it's an internal thing. It's not vocal outside because we're breathing.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, it's just like it's almost like you're imagining or feeling the sound of the ujjayi inhalation is the sound of Om, and the sound of the ujjayi exhalation is the sound of Ma. Okay. Okay, that you do for 5 minutes or until it starts to fade away. And then you go into silence. You can continue to just silently think, oh Ma, without the ujjayi breath. It doesn't have to be attached to the breath anymore. But it's like that's your mantra. That's our mantra is Om Ma. So anytime you do a silent meditation, you can think Om Ma, Om Ma, Om Ma. Or you can do it like that, japa if you want out loud. But so I think people forget that too. Eventually though, you're not going to be able to even think Om anymore because you're going to go beyond thought. So you start with silent Om repetition with natural breath, and then ideally it just fades away. If the mind starts to get busy, like distracting thoughts, um, go back to the Ujjayi Oma breath. Why? Because it's active, and activity will distract the mind a little bit until you can go back into silence. Okay, so is this all clear? I'm sure it's pretty much how you've been doing things. And again, this is not a performance. Okay. It's it's for you. It's to give you um, tools to optimize and to maximize your experience. These are scientific tools in terms of studied tools for helping people to go inward. These are thousands of years old tools just put together in this particular way for our particular school. This this meditation practice is unique to Kali Ki Reiki, as far as I know. Um, and and it's a gift. So enjoy the gift. So we're going to do it now for 25 minutes. Okay, so that's going to give you the four parts. Well, okay, 5 minutes of Om Ma Om, 5 minutes of four-part breath, 5 minutes of Ujjayi Om Ma, and 10 minutes of a silent repetition of the mantra to silence. Okay, I wanted to do it twice today, but obviously we're not going to do that. I'm going to actually set my timer for 25 minutes so that I don't have to look at a clock. So I will mute myself too. Make sure you're comfortable and you can sit and you're not going to be interrupted.
How will we know when the 5 minutes are up?
You don't. I mean, I could stop and tell you, I've got one of the recordings that is on the practitioner page of the website. Actually gives you the timing. Like I stop and I give you the timing and I tell you when to start the next thing. But I think I think we've all been doing it long enough. You can just kind of estimate. Let me just tell you, it's probably longer than you would naturally do it. A little longer. But again, I don't want you to push yourself. Ultimately, meditation should be effortless. You have to learn the chords before you can do free form on the piano. All right, so go ahead, let the eyes close, make sure you're muted, and let's begin. Om. 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 All right. Let's take a few minutes. Slowly, slowly, we're returning to the body, to the room, to the breath. Maybe take a moment. Let's stretch a little. What was that like?
I felt my temperature dropping, so I needed to move closer to my heater fireplace.
Yeah, actually, that often happens. Our temperatures do drop when we get really still. Mm-hmm.
And then the little voice said, "What do you mean drop everything? What about that to-do list?" Because I'm somebody who is running so many programs and projects and things like that. And it's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I promise later that I will be more disciplined in making a list so I don't have to keep it all in my head. Just be present here now. And then I could get into the open, limitless space, and then just occasionally keeping back to, the thinking about the breathing or the discipline or the directions. Uh, it does feel a bit complicated. And so I'm still working on having it become second nature.
So I would suggest, Shanna, that you use the prompts in the website on the practitioner page, um, because then you're guided through it. Um, because yeah, that's right. You just have to wait till it becomes second nature. Those 4 steps. Yeah. So, I find often toward the beginning of a meditation, my to-do list comes up again. One of my teachers calls that the divine secretary. And sometimes actually there's a remembering of something that really does need to get done that wasn't on my radar before, that wasn't on my physical list. And I'm grateful for that, right? And then I go back into the process. Mhm. Yeah, good, good.
I didn't really have too many thoughts coming through. It was very,
Good.
there might have been a few thoughts that came through, but I don't even remember what they were because they were there and they were gone. So
Yeah, that's what
it was,
happens. It's like the brain still works, the thoughts are still there, but we're just not attending to them. We don't need to.
yeah, it was good.
Good, good. Glynis?
I'm more used to, I think, because I do follow it on the website, so I'm used to the process. But I found towards the end, that my body just had the physical form, it just melted away completely, and I was just somewhere else, but not, I couldn't even feel my body at all.
Yeah,
It was just amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, really, really lovely.
yeah,
It took quite a bit of coming back. I
yeah,
had to snap myself out of it at the end because it felt so delicious. You could stay there.
yeah. Good.
Mm.
And it's actually important not to get up and get back into life so quickly. Give it some time and really take your time. Hmm. And you can set your timer for longer than 25 minutes if you want, because the last part is free form, so to speak. Mhm. Yeah. Michelle?
Um, I did really well with the beginning steps, and then little more trouble with the just silent. I think my post concussion brain's getting a little tired here.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm fine. Yeah, I think I'm getting done. But I loved the Om Ma Om. I love the new way of doing the 4-part breath with the lock. Um, and I did go back to when I felt like I was losing, the meditative part. I did go back to the Ujjayi and Oma.
Good,
Yeah,
good,
I did, and that was helpful.
good. And remember that our mantra is the Om Ma. That's really the most significant piece of this whole 4-part practice is when we go into quiet and we're just thinking Om Ma. But all the other steps are to enable us to get there and get there deeper.
Yeah.
Good, good. Well, I have to say for myself, I mean, I love doing it this way, like teaching it all to you, because then I don't take shortcuts when I'm doing it. Because sometimes when I'm doing it on my own, I do take shortcuts. Um, but for me, it's so much richer, so much deeper when we do the full practice. And even on Thursdays, I think there are a lot of shortcuts being taken. Like I said, I'm gonna really corral us in a little bit. Um, and then those of you who can come and do this again in person on the 24th, that would be great. I had fully intended to teach you some other pranayams other than the 4-part breath and the breathing with the beloved. I actually didn't plan on doing the breathing with the beloved. Um, if you decide you want to do the nadis class when that comes up, you will learn 6 or 7 classic yogic pranayams, the alternate nostril breathing. There's several versions of that. The breathing through the tongue, the pausing at the exhalation, and the 2 fiery breaths, which are really, really good to practice. I wish I'd had time to teach you the skull cleansing breath, which when you're like you've been distracted or you're physically kind of like out of sorts but not sick, it just can put you right back in to alignment. So there will be opportunities for doing these pranayams. So we'll see how it goes. And I scheduled another workshop for Mother's Day, Divine Mother's Day, and we might do some pranayam there as well. So, I think we need to come to a close. I did, at one point, I know I scheduled this till 12:30, but then recently I was saying noon, so we're gonna keep it till noon, and I really want to honor, you're still in recovery, Michelle, and so want to just let you take care of your own sweet self. Any more questions about process or any more thoughts? Actually, you know what? I want to close by asking you the question again. Why meditate? Go ahead, Jana.
There's so much more to connect to than we know, than we are. So opening the gates between the worlds as we experience our interconnectedness.
Beautiful. Very poetic too. I love it.
And also maybe to help us remember that we are the divine.
Beautiful. Indeed. Okay, sweetie. Love you. Bye-bye. Yeah. I know you just fall off the edge still, so go take care. Okay. Mary?
Oh, I don't know what I'll say different. It's super relaxing.
It is super relaxed. It can be. It can also end up feeling stressful if you feel like you're not doing it right. So get rid of the performance anxiety. Yeah, yeah. And it is very, very relaxing. It, for me, it's a coming home to self, which is the divine self. And it's a coming into a deeper, more expansive awareness of all that is, of what is, and I am that. So, there are a million other things you could be doing, and there's a lot of other spiritual practices you can do. And I know some of you come here to do the Reiki, right? But if you really want to understand what's happening in the Reiki, meditate. It's essential. And if you want to go deeper into the Reiki, meditation is essential. In Kali Ki Reiki, meditation and the healing practice are the two wings that allow us to soar. And so we must give them equal time and equal value. So I just invite you to work with that, sit with that, and if you need to even put other spiritual practices aside to truly find your time to do the meditation practice, and if it's easier for you to do it following along with the recordings, do that. Meditation has no end to what it reveals and how it evolves us. So it will continue. It is a process. Okay. Let's close. We'll Om. Please inhale. Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we know the peace that truly lies deep within our hearts and in the hearts of all beings. Namaste. All right, sweeties.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bye.
You too. See you on Monday, hopefully. Bye.